locker room, the relationship they have with the head coach, and the effort that's put out there. So to be able to motivate a football team and to be able to be on the same page with the football team, I think is as important as anything. Obviously, you want a guy that can manage people and understands what he wants to do on the offensive side as well as the defensive side, but also can manage coaches and manage players, which I think is the biggest part of that job these days.
John, just you have two young quarterbacks. How important is it you get somebody you think can develop those two guys? And secondly, would you consider people you've interviewed previously when you filled this job 2 times before?
Well, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, obviously, the better you know people, the more comfortable you are with them when you know them. And so I think that, with the 2 young guys, there's no question that's going to be a big topic of conversation of, okay, how do we get these 2 players better? And I think for me, and having played the game, I know how important the relationship is to have with the quarterback as well as have the players have a relationship with the coaches. And so the coaching staff is really, really important. And so that, as well as that head guy, so the type of personality that head guy is going to have is also, he's going to put that kind of staff together. And I think that, we've talked about it so many times, or if I've said it, is the fact is, we draft players and we sign players, but we got to make them better when they get here. And that's why this coaching staff is so important. And that's why this search is going to be so important. And as I said, we're fortunate we have a lot of good coaches already here, which is going to help us, and help the new coach get off to a good start.
John, is there anybody on staff you would consider for the head coaching position right now?
No, not right now.
John, talking about your roster, you've spent draft picks on your offensive line. You've spent money in free agency on your offensive line.
Yeah.
It, again, was kind of your bugaboo. What's your plan to fix that now?
We're going to go back to work on it, try to fix it again. And I think, we've got to obviously do a better job up front, but as an offense, obviously our strength is defense, and it has been. The one thing I want to make sure is that we don't take a step back on defense. So we're not going to not pay attention to that defense either. I think it's just as important, if not more important, to get better on defense than it is to get better offensively. Now the offense will come, and I think what we have to do is, because we've been our defense has become our identity. I think offensively we've got to take that on as a challenge and find the guys that want to compete. We got to get better, and we got to get better offensively, and we got to compete better offensively to say, we carry half this load, and we've kind of relied on that defense, and we're going to be good on defense, but as an offense, we got to take it as a challenge. Every player's got to take it as a challenge, as well as the coaches to take it on as a challenge. That, hey, listen, we are going to be solid on defense and great on defense, but that should be a challenge to us offensively to want to be that great too.
Last time you were in here, made a coaching change. You were pretty fired up, maybe a little miffed. This time, your mood's far different. Do you think, how much different is the team now? And you said 4 or 5 plays down the stretch. Do you feel like you're still close to getting back to the Super Bowl, or major changes are needed?
Yeah, I mean, I think I still do. I think, we got to, like I said, we got the defense to build on, and I think that. This year was disappointing. Anytime you've had the success, you go to the Super Bowl, and we had that bad streak there at the end of the year to where there's 5 or 6 different plays in there that it could have turned things around. But also you can argue the other way early in the season that we got plays too. So that's how the league works out. But yeah, we feel like we're right in the hunt, and we've got to do some things offensively and defensively, and with the draft, we got a bunch of draft picks, and we'll be involved in free agency, and the goal has not changed. The goal is still the same, but Gary's going to be missed. I mean, this is a sad day because of what Gary has meant to this organization, what he's meant to me, but also I'm excited about what we can do too. I think there's 3 or 4 possibilities out there that we're excited about to coming in and have a chance to continue doing what we're doing.
Football doesn't allow you to be discouraged. Is discouraging time for you because you lost your sidekick?
Say that again now?
Football doesn't football doesn't allow you to be discouraged
Right.
for very long. But how big a setback is it for you? Because this has been your guy for, what, 30-something years?
Well, I think that I'm happy for Gary because, I know how hard it was for him to make that decision because of the fact of, the people that I'm sure he was feeling like he's letting down by walking out the door. And I know that was a huge, huge deal to Gary. And so for him to be able to do that, that it was time for him to move on. But I think that, it's a long season. All of a sudden, once the season's over, you kind of exhale, right? I mean, it's really the first time you have a chance to exhale and then, making this change today, so we'll get the juice back and get the energy back, and Gary will always be missed. But I am excited about the opportunities of some people out there that have a chance to come in here and, we'll continue to be right in lockstep of what we want to do.
John, similarly, as GM here, you've had to deal with a lot of changes, a lot of unsettling changes. Now having to deal with one more big change, how do you feel about your job personally at this point?
Well, challenges excite me. I mean, that's what it's about. It's how we, you adjust, and things are going to happen, and good and bad. And so it's all about adjusting, and this game's about adjusting, and can continue to work hard, and so that's what we'll continue to do. Like I said, the goal and the plan is not changed, and that's to compete for world championships. And we were there a year ago, and there's no reason why we can't get back there soon again.
John, you mentioned the draft. It's basically draft season. Senior Bowl will be here before you know it. How involved would a new head coach be with the player selection process that you're going to prepare for?
Just like everyone else has. As John Fox was when he's here, as well as Gary is. He's going to have a lot to say. We include the coaching staff, and so it's a collaborative effort that everybody's involved. We get everybody's opinion on it, and from that try to be able to pull out the best decision of everybody's different opinions. So we'll continue the same method that we have the past 6 years since I've been here.
John, Gary mentioned your unique place in modern sports as far as being successful, winning Super Bowls as a player, now building a team from the front office perspective. How demanding and challenging do you think it is to be your head coach, given the expectations you have?
Well, this is a great place to work, but the expectations are high, and those expectations have been set by Mr. Volan a long time ago, and so everybody that comes here, whether as a coach or as a player, understands that the standard is to have to be able to compete for world championships, and so does that add a little bit more? Sure it does, but you know what? I think if you're good at what you do, I think you want that challenge. Plus we got a great fan base, and the fan base has expectations here too. Not only do we as an organization, but the fans have that same expectation. So therefore, there's pressure. But everywhere in the country they want to win. And every coach wants to win. So there's pressure everywhere. But I think the opportunity that's here because of the commitment by ownership to commit the dollars and the monetary things to be able to compete year in and year out is something that is second to none, and so that's why it's a great opportunity for somebody.
Just wondering, you've got the two young quarterbacks. Are you in a position where you would bring in a veteran that would be considered a starter, or are you going forward with the two young guys?
Right now we're going forward, but we always look at everything. We never say never, and so I think that, as I said earlier, we're excited about the two young guys we got, and their ability to get better, and we've got to get better around them. There's no question, and so we'll start that process as soon as we get a head coach, but the key thing is for us is to get better as a football team and take it one step at a time.
When you're trying to revamp the roster or make any changes, where do the priorities lie this offseason?
Well, offensively, obviously, I think, well, again, I'm going to go back and I'm say, you'd say it's offense, priority is offense, but the priority is to continue to be great on defense. And so that's the number one priority, is to stay there and not take a step back defensively, and then continue to work on the offense. We'll go through free agency and see what's available, and then, as the draft takes shape, see where the strengths are there too. So, but you know, as we have every year, we're going to look at every opportunity that we feel like we have a chance to get better and fits into what we're doing.
John, from the last couple of interview cycles, what have you learned about the process of trying to find out everything you need to know in the interview to see if the guy is the right fit?
Well, I mean, what I like to do is, you know, I don't like it just my opinion. We're going to have, you know, Matt Russell will be in the room and Joe Ellis will be in the room, and we're going to, you know, we'll have 4 or 5 other people in the room too that will be giving their opinions on who we talk to. But I think, obviously, when you go through this, I think the interview questions and what you want to get done and find out about the person, how they handle certain situations, you know, because a lot of times those situations come up, and so it's interesting as the longer you're in this, more of those situations come up, and so you can ask them about how they handle the different situations. So, you know, obviously there's, you know, a lot of young guys out there that look like you know, a lot of potential and very bright young guys, and so, you know, hopefully we can get one of those.
Last one, Troy. John, you talked about defense remaining a strength. Is the defensive line, specifically stopping the run, then a priority? And would you be reluctant to trade away from a strength where you have depth to address an issue, to fortify the offense?
Well, I'm not so sure that I believe that you get better by trading away from strength. If you take strength away, it's kind of like our political system, right? I'm not sure I necessarily believe in taking from the rich and giving to the poor. I mean, so it's the same way in football. That doesn't necessarily make us better, right? It makes it more fair maybe, but it doesn't necessarily make us better. So it'd have to be the right situation, you know, to where we can stay where we want to be, no matter where it may be, and so the benefit's much more on wherever we hope the benefit's going to. So, but we'll look at everything and get started with that. And once we get the coach hired and get the staff back, get the staff in place, and then you know, get down to the Senior Bowl and start going. Yeah, you know, obviously that wasn't an issue we had this year. So, I mean, I wish we played like we played yesterday all year against the run. That'd been nice, but it was fun. Yeah, I would say this, and yesterday was an example of, you know, the respect that this team has for Gary and the way they played yesterday. And I mean, that was, you know, as disappointing it is that we didn't make the playoffs, but I think you know, what you saw yesterday is a total credit to what those players thought of Gary Kubiak and the way they went and played and won that football game. So, okay, thank you. Happy New Year.